Bum 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 bum.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Kwacha podcast. My name is Kandwani, and I took a break because life was happening, but we are back to your regular scheduled programming every Thursday, making Thursdays great again. And I'm joined by a returning guest, first returning guest.
I'm back. Hi, everyone. It's Mayanga here.
Okay.
Glad to be back here. Yeah, this is dope.
Okay, anyway, we're just recording this Wednesday evening. So this is going to be a short episode just because we're getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, so we'll start with the blessing of the week. So the blessing of the week is Caster Semenya, who many of you are very familiar with. She's won several races. I think 800 meters is her best, right? So could you care to elaborate on why Caster is the blessing of the week this week?
She's going through some issues in regards to the sporting franchise. Particularly, they're
it's
running
a regulation.
The
IAAF.
The IAA, which is the
International Association of Athletics Federation.
Yeah, so they're saying that she has higher levels of testosterone than the standard for women in the race and all that. I just feel like, honestly, Caster Semenya has been through so much that she deserves this. I mean, she doesn't deserve to be treated like this, but she deserves to be the blessing of the week because she's always under scrutiny by, all these sporting bodies trying to, ridicule her achievements. So we just want to put that energy out there that Caster, we got your back, despite what they say. And I just feel like it's very kind of immoral to designate someone based on how much testosterone they have. Particularly,
I don't think it's about morals. They're just trying to.
In Caster's case, because
it's natural. For
her.
It's
natural for her. It's not like she's adding.
I know she's not doping, but it's just kind of like. Well, we were reading an article earlier today about trans people competing in women's competition. So I know it's a lot more complicated because men and women are different and testosterone would make people stronger. So I feel that there's a gray line. But like you said, Caster, I feel, has also been treated unfairly because you have Maria Sharapova who is actually doping. And so, it's just different, black
women. Did she even get a scholarship into Harvard or something? Was that her or someone else?
Probably someone else. I don't think Sharapova is getting into Harvard.
But someone got into Harvard.
I know she still gets lots of endorsements. I mean, she's made more money than Serena, who's an actual champion. So that alone is a disservice. But yes, we champion black women. And yes, Caster, you're still a winner in our eyes, whatever happens. But yes, so guys, as we mentioned, this is a short episode. But this, I have or had an idea to do a series kind of centered around the idea, when are you getting married? Which is a very common question that a lot of African aunties have for young people once you hit that ripe 20s age. And, so this first one is just a discussion about Lobola and
dowry.
Dowry, aka
mostly the dude's family paying the girl's family.
Yes, exactly. But with the hope for this series is where I just get to interview a bunch of different people and their experiences. So this could be single girls, single guys, engaged people who are actually married, and people who are divorced, just so we can have a healthy conversation.
So is this going to be a prequel to that, or am I the first person who's going to get interviewed?
This is like a prequel. It's an appetizer, a sampler, a call for guests to come on here, because Lobola is a great place to start. That's where it starts from before we go into everything else. Because I know in Zambia there's a proposal, or however it happens, you ask for a blessing, whatever. Then there's the mbale, the plates. Then that's Lobola, and then you go on to all the other traditional relationships. So I think a topic around Lobola is a good place to start or to introduce the series. So, what do you know about dowry?
It's a very customary thing, for sure, traditional. I feel it's very patriarchal in structure, because it's more of like an ego thing for a father to want sort of some kind of retribution for giving away his daughter to, some kind of like, it's transactional, and it's got like egotistic undertones and patriarchal.
He's not losing his daughter or giving her away.
I mean, like I mean, there's that like kind of like bubbling underneath, but there's also kind of like the honor and respect, or the tradition of like, this is a person who's valued, a daughter, and then she's going to be a wife to someone in another family.
Okay.
So as much as she's still part of your family, she's also being part of the other family. So it also kind of like unites both families, because both people are invested.
Okay. What I find interesting is how, I guess, in Asian, particularly Indian and Western cultures, it was the other way, where the bride's family pays the dowry.
Which Western culture does?
I know, like in like England or whatever, like really in Victorian times, I'm not sure, but it was always this kind of like the bride paid, family paid.
I've never heard of that, but I mean, it's not.
Okay, so I know it worked that way, but it's almost just kind of like, where was it because I know, is it still today that there's more women than men? So before it was just kind of like families trying to marry off their daughters, so that way wealth ensures that they marry
eligible.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've always found that interesting, because I know in Indian cultures too, that's a big deal. Like, you pretty much can't get married. I know the money does come from like the woman's side, whereas in our culture, it's like the guy's family that pays the bride price.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not an expert in both regards. I have very little knowledge when it comes to dowry in like the like kind of South Asian area.
Yeah.
But what I know is like when you get married to the dude, you like as the lady, you move into his parents' house or something like that. So and then you kind of like have to stay there. Anyway, yeah, that's as much as I know. So yeah, guys listening, please let us know, what you know about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unless I got it wrong, but I know, you see, in ancient times, a dowry was given to the groom and his family in exchange for the bride, as a way of ensuring that she is properly taken care of and comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, so for those cultures, I guess, it worked in that way. So it's kind of like, take care of our daughter,
give her the same lifestyle.
Yeah, life that she had. But for us, it's... So, there's one way of looking at it like that for the people who did it that way. But for us, it's like from what I understand, from how it's been explained to me, yes, there's all of that ego stuff, but you really can't quantify how much money was spent raising someone's daughter and then saying it's transactional and someone is being paid for that. I've always taken it to be like some sort of appreciation. It's like a gift, like, this is a great woman I'm marrying. Thank you for raising her up to this way. And of course, you can't place an amount of value. So my mom actually told me it's only now in this day and age when it's currency that's actually paid out. But before, it was where you'd give. So, cows are like one way, but not that many.
Value.
It's not many people have cows disposable to give, and it's not like someone will pull up to your place with like cows. Where would you take them? You kill them. But so it's like, before you could do something, maybe like drill a borehole in someone's place, or build them a house, or just something. It's a gift, where it's just like, I'm grateful to be in your family. Thank you for allowing me to marry your daughter, and like things like that. So I don't know. Do you think it's still relevant in this day and age?
I think it is. It's quite relevant. I've been a proponent of it deep down, even though I don't talk about it because I'm a G.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like it's very important. For me, I'm kind of like, I tend to be more conservative towards traditional practices. I like to preserve and continue them, and I feel like the Lobola or dowry kind of helps to bring families closer
through the negotiation process.
I feel like even just to make people become relatives.
Okay.
Because when you have both sides involved in blessing the relationship, if there is at all like a situation that would arise, you have a support group of parents and cousins and relatives who will be there to try and preserve this marriage because they're somewhat invested. So it kind of knits the families together.
Okay.
Very early in the early stages, and it benefits everyone because a relative from the groom side can help a relative from the bride side, and it's all connected. So
okay.
I feel like in that regard it plays a very good role. And not to be too long-winded, the last point would be just like blessings from your parents. When you know that your parents have blessed your relationship, you go on to have a blessed life. I feel. I mean, you don't necessarily need that, but like if you're that kind of person who wants that, that's good for you, and that
okay.
works. Yeah.
So there have been cases of maybe people making these outrageous claims or having outrageous expectations for Lobola. Because I mean, to all of us, to all our parents, we are priceless.
Yeah.
But do you have a budget for how much Lobola you're willing to pay?
I mean, it has to do a lot with kind of like income. It's like as a groom, how much can you afford? If you're like a millionaire, or a billionaire, it doesn't make sense to pay the same amount that another groom who's like a gardener.
So you think it depends on the income of the person? Because I mean, wouldn't Lobola then also be a test? Because if you can't pay a certain amount, how will you take care of someone's child?
That's also a good point.
Yeah.
So that should also play into the Lobola. From what I know or how I would approach it, or my ideas about it, I mean, like I would, not to get too ahead of myself, but I think sometimes in this day and age, there's the whole thing of my daughter has been educated, and I spent X amount of dollars educating my daughter. Therefore, I am asking for 70% of the money I spent.
So from birth she was on formula, and then she went to like a private school. So plus $10,000, and then diapers, and then meals 3 times a day. Then she went to private primary school.
I mean, that's now the unrealistic part. So
don't forget she went to studied at Harvard. So
I feel like before our Zambian economy got like to where it's at now, where things are a little bit bad.
Yes.
Like $10,000 US, or
do you think people are really out here
paying? More like back in the day when you pay like 50,000.
Yeah.
That's kind of like decent.
I've actually heard like 30,000 kwacha, like old 30 million is like more on the high side. I don't know what Lobola prices.
I mean,
for. I don't know.
But as I said, right, if you're a millionaire,
yes,
that's nothing compared in your ballpark. So you should pay more if you can afford it.
So if you know that you're a millionaire, and let's say the family are like, no, we're comfortable, just give us 5,000, you'd be like, nah, it's too small.
I mean, but like you'll still pay that. I'm just saying, like for me, it's coming more from like a moral standpoint. I feel, but if you want to save your money, that's cool. No one's gonna judge you. Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. I've heard like some horror stories, maybe of let's say how it's a horror in a sense, because if you do not fulfill this one part, it's like it's very significant still. So you're not observing it. Let's say there are people who I've heard maybe of where people can't afford the bride price but still proceed with the wedding, or the guy can't afford the bride price and the woman helps pay for it, or something like, would you be taking out a mortgage to pay for a bride price?
I mean,
like a loan from the bank, a loan from friends, and you get married on like credit. So
in dire circumstances, if I know that, you know, I can pay that back, I would do that.
But why not just wait till you have the money?
Sometimes, you know, things happen. You know, well, that's a good point, but I have no answer for that. I was gonna say something like, you know, parents might try to influence, talk you out of that, try to break down the relationship, because that's usually the reason. But I don't know. People should wait, I think.
Okay.
If you know that's what, if you've discussed this with your loved one and you know that the parents are going to be expecting this, that's why I think people should plan ahead.
Okay.
When you want to get married, you know, don't
then
rush
what,
into it.
do you both save up for the
save
bride
up.
price?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, you as the dude should save up that money. You should save up that money. If it's going to take you 5 years, hey, you know, at least you're getting, look at it as a chance to get to know your loved one even more.
Okay, but in this recent age of feminism, some people do feel that it's transactional and someone is being paid for it, because there are all of these jokes of like, if the marriage doesn't work out, the guy will ask for like a refund, or some men start treating women some kind of way because they did pay for the bride price and they feel they own some part of it. So could there be a negative side to a bride price?
I mean, there's a negative side to everything.
For sure. There's always good and bad. I'm just like, in this day and age, is there a way that we could go about it that doesn't seem transactional?
I feel that it can be used to prevent people from being together. Like if like a parent doesn't approve of the person, if there is like they might, you know, as we've discussed, they might raise it to a high price.
Yeah, an amount that.
Or any delays in paying it might, you know, they might, you know, maybe try to make the marriage like break down, or the engagement break down. Like they might use it as
a payment plan.
I mean, they might use it as a barrier to entry. Like, you know, it's kind of like it might
what
be.
What if they're like, you know, interest rates for Lobola?
Honestly,
like
I
you
feel
break
like,
it down into.
I feel like today in our age, it's not to say that parents shouldn't be who they are, and if they're like, you know, basically, people should be more understanding. If someone has shown that they or has demonstrated that they will pay the lobola, it shouldn't matter if they get married and then maybe 5 years later the dude pays part of it, or has been paying part of it, or even borrows money just to show that he's invested in the woman that he loves. So
I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm just like, why? Then why are you rushing? I mean, it's not that I know some people do make a business out of marrying off daughters, which is why maybe they're excited if they have lots of daughters. And then there's some people, some of the uncles who are professional negotiators who are excited at any idea of like someone getting married, and they like want to be part of that and maybe get a cut of it. I'm just laughing because I'm like, there's so many creative ways. What if we started a business? What if there was
like
a
fintech business for providing money for Lobola?
Yeah, providing loans for Lobola, like break it down into 84 monthly installments. I feel that there should be like no rush. So which is why for me, I know it's not fair. I know or hope that most people are practical in the amounts that they ask for. And I don't think any of them are unattainable. So for me, it's a bit of a red flag if someone can't meet a reasonable amount. If people ask for 100K and then you really want to marry someone, then maybe. But if it's a reasonable amount and someone is like still looking for pennies to like pay it, or insisting on paying in the future, or doing layaway, it's a bit of a off-putting thing.
Well, looking at it from that perspective, then yeah, it does make sense, because like also parents might say that if you can't pay them, then it means you're not ready.
Yeah.
So, that should also be considered. Like if you're gonna propose and be with this person, but then you know if you can't, you know, marry that person now, and let's say you have a goal of having kids at maybe 28, and you can only afford that money when you're gonna be 35. that means your plan is out of the, it's out of the way. So coming back to the issue of like, it can be weaponized into a barrier to entry.
No, for sure.
So.
Have you ever heard of any crazy amounts?
Not really. But like from what I know, I mean, like,
what are the standard rates?
But this is like from maybe like 9 years ago. Yeah. So like the I mean, this is just in my head. I never really asked anyone. It's still like the 50K, but it goes up based on like where you got educated and what kind of family you come from. Yeah.
So you didn't answer. Okay, given your maybe let's say current financial situation or future financial situation, what's your threshold for reasonable for a woman you love?
For a woman I love, I feel like it should be still 10,000.
10,000 US dollars?
Well,
or Zambian kwacha?
Well, okay, Zambian kwacha maybe like 60?
60,000?
Yeah! Like,
her parents have been raising her.
No, they have not been raising her. It's the maid. So this is.
What do you mean it's the maid? Because her parents have been raising her.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, it's not transactional, so it should not equate to something where you think you're paying for a person.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I just like. If anything, it's just this thing that introduces two families together as they go through the negotiations. They're being knitted together. So
okay, for example, this is a bit different. I've seen this like in East Africa, where families who are like herders and have plenty of cows, and they know each other's like each other's clan, so to say. When children from those families get married, it becomes very transactional because they have like plenty of like cows or whatever they're herding. So it's, it'll be like, 50 cows or 100 cows or like 100, like it's going to be very transactional. And if we turn that to dollars, to like a dollar value of a full cow, you get maybe like $3,000 per cow if you're gonna like make it into sausages and use the leather and all that. Not to be long-winded, but you do the math. 100 cows, $3K, $3 million. I don't know. Well, yeah. I'm just saying in those cases, compared to like more so in like the like city lifestyle where people are not herding, that's where the prices also can go up.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Well, so here we are. So you said, your max is 10K USD.
Honestly, like, it's more so like a minimum starting point.
Oh, so you said at 10K?
Yeah, it's a minimum starting
USD.
point.
100,000 Zambian kwacha.
Well, okay, I gotta take that back. Maybe like 50,000, like just to be reasonable.
Wait,
50,000
kwacha.
50,000 kwacha, starting point. But considering that I'm going to be a higher earner in the future, and by the time I do go about doing this, I believe that I'll be able to do that. So that's why it's like I'm setting it's a goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so how would you feel maybe about the bride to be contributing to her bride price payment to her family?
That's a tough one. I mean, I'd rather wait, honestly.
Okay.
I'd rather wait. Or pay part of it, part of the bride price, and then pay the rest later. In case, like, if we both set goals, if we're gonna have kids, if we're gonna not have kids, how is that gonna affect? Or if there are certain goals that have been put in place that might be inhibited or, be prevented from in regards to getting married. Yeah.
So do you feel? I feel like we could have structured this better. It's all over the place, but I just know like it's very sensitive. So does Lobola impede on the tenements of feminism today?
Okay, you gotta break that down for me.
No, just like I guess the founding principles of what it is about equality and women and the because there are people who are like, I don't want to be sold, they don't want to be bought. I'm not. Yeah, which is true, and
Yeah.
I mean, people do lose the meaning, the history, the significance of it, and knowing it's all about uniting two families. But there are people who feel it's transactional, and they don't want any of it in their marriage proceedings. So I'm just like, do you think that people can be both feminist and believe in bride price?
I think those two worlds can coexist.
Okay.
I think it's just that in this day and age, people want to just be one thing, you know, or like a set of things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like both of these can like coexist. You can still be a strong feminist, and at the same time still pay homage to your like traditional customs.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can not so much separate the two,
Yeah.
but like kind of like, you know, separate those like divisive elements within the Lobola structure that you feel kind of impede with your feminist ideals, but you can still uphold them or even separate them. So
But I
just feel like they can.
I don't feel like brides have a lot of say in the process or the proceedings, because let's say if your parents are asking for a certain amount, okay, maybe you can be like, yeah, mom and dad, that's kind of crazy, but it's always a negotiation between like the male figures in the family, so there's not much room for one. So it's kind of like there are these discussions going on about you, and you don't even have a say or really know what goes on into them.
Well, yeah, that's very true. I feel like in that regard, you have to kind of find like a middle ground. Maybe you can. I don't know, honestly. That's where it kind of like breaks down.
Okay.
That's where the traditional customs and your ideals kind of like clash. So, are you gonna continue with? Are you gonna go ahead and have that aspect included in your, you know, your marriage ceremony or like process, or are you gonna have it excluded or augmented in a way that kind of fits with your life? So that's something. I feel that a lot of people, when it comes to weddings are very social events.
Yeah,
so you want people involved, and one way to get them involved is when you have these uncles come in and do all the, you know, and then because all your family members do play a part.
That's true.
Within the wedding process. Your uncles will negotiate.
Weddings are rarely for the two people getting married.
Yeah, they're for the two families to like meet each other and, you know, become relatives. So like the aunties will do the whole like I don't know how you say kulanga, what, like you know, to like tell the girl what.
I know there's wanachimbusa.
Yeah, wanachimbusa
and all of that.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah, there's that. Then the men do the negotiating. Then like the families come together. I'm not sure about paying for the, you know, the wedding and all that. I'm sure both parents do that, and some uncles also help in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, so you know, it's a family, you know, activity.
Okay.
You know, your cousins will be on the lineup. You know, it's all that. You know, the little nephews born from, you know, it's everyone's kind of involved. So, you know, you got people recording. It's a money making, you know, industry.
Yeah, like I'm always saying, wedding planner, but I'm for real, guys. If you know anyone getting married who needs a loan to pay their lobola, contact Kondwani Investments, and we can come up with a suitable plan. We accept all forms of tender. We can facilitate payments in various forms.
Except Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, except Bitcoin. But we do
Not
kwacha.
yet, but we're gonna do that soon.
We do cows. We do goats. We do chickens. We're helping people get married comfortably and efficiently. But yes, that was it from me. It was nice talking to you guys. And I hope you're still listening. I'm still here. I know that was a break, but life happens. So, yes. So we'll be back next week. If anyone is interested in this topic, if you have any feedback, of course, please leave a comment or message me. Anything is fine. But it was definitely fun to be back and recording. I
Yes.
definitely missed this. And thank you for joining me today, Mayanga.
I'm glad. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bum 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 bum.